Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are working on the Porsche 911. We are going to be putting in the new Aerokit spoiler from Porsche. I'd originally bought kind of a Chinese knockoff version, thinking that would save me a whole lot of money, and I got it in, and it looked like it, but the material was a lot cheaper. And it wouldn't go on well. It never mounted up properly. It could never line up. So I said, forget it. I sent it back. And now I've got the 911s, the OEM version from Porsche of the Aerokit. So let me turn this light on here. All right, so what I thought I'd do is show you. Well, all right, so here's how we're gonna get started, because there's a lot to do. And I was gonna kind of spread everything out and let you see it. What's in the kit that comes in the box. Let's see, so I don't show you the spoiler yet. So here's the box, as you can see here, and this is a piece of it. And then there's, of course, a ton of stuff here. So what I'll do is show you what the spoiler looks like apart. We'll get it and get all the plastic parts installed on the spoiler, and then I'll show you what it looks like together, and then the next is going to be removing all of this stuff here and get started here. So I've sold my Genesis GV60, and I'm waiting on a new Tesla Model Y to come in as my daily. So once I commit to this, I'm going to have to really just like get it done. I've got my wife's car over here, but she drives it, of course, every day. So yeah, so once I get started, it's going to be just nose down, get it done. But we're going to video it because I've looked online. I've seen a lot of great pictures. And I've talked to some people that have installed these, and they've been so helpful. Matter of fact, helping me understand what to do with this, because there's no instructions really on the kit. I do have a set of instructions here that I ended up finding on the internet, but the kit itself doesn't come with any. So yeah, once I get started, I got to get started. I got to get it done. It's already painted, so I'm going to flip the camera around, and I'm going to show you the pieces and the parts that we're going to be installing on the, at least the spoiler, getting the spoiler put together, and then we'll go from there. So hang tight. Okay, guys. All right, so here we go. So start with the base. So again, I've already had my neighbor next door paint it for me. This is Guards Red. So this is completely painted, ready for assembly. So you have the base, then you have the, draw out here, then you have the wing itself here, and then you have the front lip spoiler that it comes with as well, which was a bonus. I probably should have read it. I just didn't notice that it came with one. And then you have these slats here. Now this is kind of the jig that Porsche gives you, so you can paint the these little strips any color you want. Of course, we did gloss black, which will mesh with the top of the car all the way down. And of course, this piece here will come completely off, but these are the slats that I'm talking about. This piece is going to come completely off, and then it's got a brand new one that doesn't have the third brake light, because the third brake light will be going right here. And we'll be putting that on as well once we get everything put together. So anyway, let me go ahead and start prepping to get this up on my bench, and we will get started assembling the base. Here we go. All right, guys. So I just kind of fixed, or just put the spoiler on the base. There were some, let's see if you can see these, but there was some red tape that goes over those holes where it just painted. So I used an X-Acto knife and got those out. So it sits perfect like it's supposed to, coming from Porsche. So what I'm gonna do, I think the first thing we'll do is we'll get third brake light in, and then we'll flip this thing over, and then I've got these screws right here that come in the kit. And there are, let me see if I can get a good picture. There we go. They come in the kit here, and there are 4 of them sitting right there. And yeah, so let's get the third brake light on. So I'm gonna pull the top part of the spoiler back off, get the third brake light on, and then start working on, or get the wing off, excuse me, put the third brake light on, flip this thing around and get everything in place, screw it down, and then get on to finishing up a few of the other pieces that need to be put on as well. And I'll show you that here in a second. All right, man, hold tight. All right, here is the third brake light. So we've got connections here and here that will screw down with the nuts. So these little studs, and then we've got the, see if you can see it. Let me get a little extra light on here. Anyway, so this is the connector itself. So we'll kind of see what we can do just to lay it in place. And there it is on. So here I can probably reach in and just kind of start the process of tightening them down. And then I've got the connector here, which I can get to, so we should be good there. And then I'm using a 8mm deep socket. And I've got a longer extension. I may change that. Let's see if we can kind of get this thing tilted like this. See if you can still see it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and things are falling. So I'm just barely tightening these right now until I can line this thing up properly. All right, let's just flip her back and look. So we're a little off here, just a little bit. Let me get a smaller. See if I can do it this way. Let's see. Okay, it looks pretty good maybe. We're gonna readjust it one more time. Just want to kind of see if I can shift it any. With a little bit of movement. All right, okay, so I'll go with that. We'll get this other side locked down. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got the screw here and then the one here. And then way in there, of course, you can see the connector here that'll just kind of come through here, through this piece here, and go up and plug in. And that's already in the car with the harness, so we won't have to worry about that. So, okay, so step one is there. Now let's get this thing, the wing on it, and see if we can get that handled. All right, so let me get the wing put on. Okay. Then let me see if I can get this thing flipped over. There we go. All right, so this will be a booger, but let's see if we can show you. Way down in there, as you can see, are the screws. There's one way down in there, and then the other one's way back up in there. So, and these use these right here, which are T27s. And so we'll go ahead and get the socket and get all that put together. And let me see if I can show you that one as well. So it's, oh, if I get into the right hole here. So they're, trust me, they're down in there. It's kind of crazy. So let me kind of get that done. I think I'll pause the video for a second and get those tied down, and then we'll get this thing flipped over. And then, oh, here's a good angle of the third brake light. So let me zoom in just a little bit. So yeah, so you can see it there put in, and then there's the connector right there. All right, so hold on and let me get this cinched down on the spoiler itself, and then we'll go to the next part. Hold tight. All right, we've got, if you look down in here, let me grab a light here so we see even better. But if you look down in there, you'll see the screws. They're in there and they're tightened down. I also pulled the tape off these sections here, and I'll show you how that aligns to the back of the car. And of course, we've done the third brake light, so that's done. So now there's another plastic piece that comes along here and here and here, and we'll start working on those, and that'll kind of tie this whole thing together. And then the spoiler is fully assembled. So let me grab these other parts, and I will show you exactly what we've got to do. All right, guys. So this is one of the sections here, as you can see, and I'll kind of move it to where you can maybe get a better, move the camera angle out a little bit. So there we go. So this piece here is going to mount to where it's going to scoop the air down into the intercoolers, and then there's this black glossy piece. It already came painted, and then that'll be fixed on the top of the spoiler, where this piece of plastic scoop meets, so it kind of ties it together. And then it comes with a bunch of these little push pins here. So there's two of them here, but anyway, these little push pins here, and that'll lock it all in place. And then we are done with the spoiler as far as assembling of the spoiler, and then we'll at that point we'll get the engine cover put together right, and then they'll have all the parts will be assembled, and then we'll be on the car itself. So let me put these here, and I'm gonna work on trying to get everything leveled. I'm gonna move the camera back so you can see. So I'm gonna work on trying to get everything mounted and put the push pins in. I'll get all that done, and then we'll flip it around, and I'll show you exactly how all that works. But I'm gonna be flipping this thing back and forth, and you're gonna get bored and dizzy and everything else. So hold tight here for a second. Let me get these few pieces on. Well, I'll show you. See all these holes here? That's where that's where everything's gonna kind of align up. You can see them there as well. Everything's gonna get aligned up there with these two pieces of plastic. And I'll show you once it's done, you'll understand exactly how it all works. So hold on for just a few more minutes. And again, please like and subscribe. It helps me out with the channel to be able to put content out like this. And again, this is not a sponsored video. I did get this from Suncoast Parts, but it's not sponsored. I paid the full amount on the OEM spoiler for the Porsche. So hold tight. All right, guys, we have got everything tied in. So these little rivets or plastic tabs, they go in to secure everything, and they're even down at the bottom here. Let me see if I can get this light on so you can see it a little better. So they're even down there, and you can see them running across. They all tie in together. Then you got one over here, same here. And so what that gives you is basically almost 100% the final look assembly. We'll get this thing moved over very carefully, and voila. So there you go. So there's that black here, the black polished or gloss black, excuse me. And then here's your scoop. That's in. And then really one other part we got to put in to tie into here. Oh, I got to push these tabs in. Let me get these in. Forgot about that. Bear with me. I'll get my tool. Let's see. Tap that in. Push those pins in. And they're in. Okay. So that's in there. And then these pieces here, they will go in and lock into place. Maybe the wrong one. Let's see. There we go. So let me see if I can get this in right. So they're hooked here and on here. So I guess you first come in and you just make sure that these are correct. And they are. So this is the one. So we'll get this in here and then put it in place. And that's locked in. Do the same here. And there you go. All right, let me get zoom a little bit closer. So there you go. See how this thing is tying in here all the way around. So your scoop, your gloss black, got the spoiler on an angle here, as you can see. So the spoiler is completely assembled. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on the engine cover. And when I say engine cover, I mean the engine cover here. We're gonna get that assembled. That's our next step. Now, before I get too far ahead, I've got these two little not washers, but they're leveling screws. I'll call them leveling screws, I'm not sure. And they'll go on here. I may have to take these back off, but they'll go down here, and then these caps here looks like they'll go on at the very last second once I've got everything mounted. So let's see if I can just pull these off again and show you. So this here will come down and screw in right there into this screw here. So that's where it'll go, and I'll kind of zoom in a little bit, see if I can get you in more. So, oops, excuse me. So here, they're gonna go in right here, and then this is where it's gonna level out the spoiler. So I'll just kind of get those started, and then we'll go from there. So let's work on the next step, which is gonna be the engine cover. So let me move this out of the way, and I'll get the engine cover and everything up. All right, now we're on to the engine cover. So as you can see, this cover here is replacing, and I'll go ahead and just shut this for a second, like that. It's gonna replace this one, so the third brake light goes, because the third brake light will be on the new spoiler. And of course we have wiring harnesses for all that. And then here are the slats, and these are on jigs. So I'm gonna take each one off. So they're numbered too. Let's see if you can see this. Let's see. Yeah, so if you can, let me set the camera down on the tripod. So if you can see here, 1L. So 1L is gonna be the left side. So if I'm looking at it here, it's gonna be here. So it's gonna go here. So if we come over here and we push in, then the slat will go there, right there. And then next, all the way through. So I'll go ahead and pull these off the jig and get these on. No sense in really watching that, to be honest with you. So I'll get that done on the jig, and then we'll go through all that, and then we'll see what the next steps are. And so remember, real quick, these things are numbered. As you can see, 1L. So it'll be the left side of it. So, all right, or left side of the engine cover. All right, so hold tight. All right, guys, so we've got all the slats on. They're all in place, every one of them. And then here's, of course, the jig that they came on where you paint them. So everything's painted on there. It's really kind of genius how they did that. How Porsche was gonna do that, because I wasn't sure if I was gonna get a bunch of slats and have to make my own jig to paint them. But anyway, it worked out. Everything looks good. So now we're gonna be on to the car, and we're gonna first start with removing the wing. Then there's a base plate for the wing that's gonna come off, and then we're gonna probably get the engine cover here off. And then I know the lights are gonna have to come off, but they're very simple to come off, so that'll be easy. And then we'll just start that process of just removing everything out to the point where we can get the new base on, and then the spoiler will attach to the new base, and then of course the engine cover as well. So we'll kind of figure out how we'll do that in what order and go from there. I do have some instructions, so hopefully they'll help out. So let me get everything moved over to the car so we can start working on that. All right, guys, we are ready to start disassembling. So the first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and pull as I said earlier, pull the spoiler off, and then the base that's up underneath it. We're gonna get started with that. So what you've got, I'm gonna zoom in. I don't know, it's gonna be tough, but you've got, a screw here and a screw here, so that's two. And these are Phillips heads, I think. No, these are Torx, excuse me. And then this is gonna be tough, and I apologize. We'll zoom out, but you're gonna see here, right here, is another one, and they kind of go all the way around. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 total Torx screws that I'll have to take off. So let me get those done first, and we'll get that off, and then I'll show you the base plate, how the base plate comes off, because that'll be important. There's some wiring there too, so I'll have to pull the wiring off of the base plate, and then we'll just start kind of just pulling the rest of the stuff off it piece by piece and getting this thing stripped down. So let me get these screws off, and I'll show you when we pull the spoiler off what the base plate looks like. All right, guys, so I have all the screws done. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws. So this really should, I'm holding with one hand here. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna turn this thing over to my camera guy here, Parker. And so what you do is you just slide it back and it comes off. So there it is, as you can see. And then here's the base. So what we're gonna do, we got a screw here, and then we gotta come over here, Parker, and we got a screw here. Okay, and then here in the center is the third brake light. As you can see here, right here, that's the third brake light. So we'll undo that here. And then when I get this out, then we'll pull this whole wiring harness down. Now this will attach to the third brake light on the new spoiler. Is from what I've read and talked to some other people about, I think will be good. So I'm just gonna sit this thing down here for right now. I am gonna move this spoiler, that's the front spoiler, I'll move that out of the way. All right, so let me get these two screws off, we'll get the base plate off, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, I forgot, I've taken these two screws off here. I've unclipped from the spoiler the harness, and now there's two more screws. There's one there and one on the back side. I removed the plastic covering that covers that here. That's been moved. I've already removed that. And then once that comes off, then we'll start removing these fins here, and then things will start kind of peeling apart fairly easy. Then we'll start working on, I'm assuming, on the brake lights and stuff. So, yeah. So anyway, so I forget about those 4 screws up underneath there. So let me get those taken off. All right, guys, I've got the 4 bolts off. So Parker, hold that so I can pull these out. So basically it comes up. So what we're gonna do here is, I'm gonna sit this back down, is I'm gonna just kind of push this thing through here. And you can use your finger, it's not that difficult. And then, there we go. So 3rd brake light, as we talked about, it connects to here. That's unplugged, and that's this wiring harness here. So we're gonna have to undo this here in a few minutes. So next we'll go ahead and start removing the fins here. Fins, I don't know what they're really called, but we'll start removing these, and then we're gonna get the engine cover off and start still working. We'll go ahead and just pull these off here from the sides. There, we're gonna have to get to that. And then again, we're gonna have to remove the light. So here's all the screws for the light. All this has got to come off here. And so we'll just continue on. I'll maybe sit that over there. So yeah, so let me figure out what screws and stuff, but these are all torqued. So I just got to get all these taken off and start removing these fins here. And then we'll start removing the wiring harnesses and all that, the engine cover off, the fans off, and once we get all this opened up, then I'll start removing the engine cover itself. Okay, bear with me. All right, guys, so we've got the little shield. I was calling it a fins. I didn't know what they are, but they're little shields, so when the spoiler is up, you can't see in this way from behind. So that is off. So the next thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and get this thing disconnected from the from here. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take the plastic cover off and get the fans out of here, and then go from there. And just again, we're just kind of peeling this thing off a little bit. So just peeling it back, and the new base plate, of course, is going to go right here. It'll be mounted, so that'll be good. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. So let me get to the next step. We'll return. All right, guys, we removed the fans. So the fans are gone. These are the wiring harnesses for the fans. I've got to remove the locking mechanism for the engine cover. I've removed the wiring harness out from here. So the next step is we're gonna go ahead and these screws here, and we're gonna pull this light out. I'll unplug it, then I'll be able to get to the brake lights and the blinkers and all that. That'll come out. And then I think we can pull this whole unit out. Also, of course, we've got to unclip this wiring harness, which it's gonna be hard to see. Let me see if I can show you. So I went ahead and repinned, and in the instructions that I got, I went ahead and bought a new connector. Instead of using that one, I didn't want to depin it. So I figured I'd buy a new one and then all new pins. And yeah, so I've got that ready. And of course, these are the wiring harnesses that'll go in for the fans as well here. So all this is kind of new itself. So I'm hoping it all works well, that I don't have to use the existing wiring harness. So let me go ahead and remove the light. That's next. Then the locking mechanism. We'll get the wiring harness undone. Oh, also, I went ahead and put these back on. I had to unscrew these to get the little engine cover off before I get the fans off, but I went ahead and did the water and the oil. I put that back on because the last thing I want to do is drop something into those holes. That would be like the worst thing in the world. So, all right, so let me get all this off. I'm going to get these off. Then I'll show you the screws for the brake light, and then we'll figure out what's next on pulling all this off. Okay, guys. All right. So we've got the main light here off, and we've taken the brake lights off as well. So now we're really starting to, oops, sorry about that. We're really starting to see this thing get disassembled here. All right, and so what I've done, just so you know, I'm trying to keep things organized. So here's the right brake light, and I've got the screws in there. There's the big long light, and then over there is the left one. So we're trying to keep all this together. These are the parts that we won't be using anymore, as well as that spoiler there, and I'm just gonna put everything back in this big box. And then here's your engine, fan covers and all that, where the oil and the water goes there. So we are getting things together. So my next step is I need to remove this here. This is the locking mechanism for the engine compartment. And then I've got this unplugged here. So I think all the wiring harnesses are off. I think we are really kind of ready to start pulling everything else off. So let me see if I can get this off and this. So there's 2 screws here that we'll undo. I'm gonna have to find a way of marking where this stuff sits. And then there's a screw here, 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 and here, here, and here. And that's all that holds this whole plate on. Hopefully then I can just pull everything out. We'll see. I'm just not sure. But we'll make sure that we monitor it and see what we have to do and then go from there. All right, guys, so we have that out. So the way it worked is, I'll try to do this with my hand, is there was 2 other screws as well, here and here, and they're smaller ones. And then once that's out, then you kind of pull these clips back some here and here, and then you go forward with that whole unit, and then it pulls back. So forward, it pulls back because it's gonna slide up underneath here. So the bumper was not, you don't have to take the bumper off. So there's the parts of the motor. Of course, there's your oil filter. Alternators way up here. It's pretty cool. Your water reservoir, the oil. So far so good. Now the next step I gotta do is figure out, gotta get this wiring harness off so I can pull the engine, pull the engine cover release off, and then I should be fine to use the wiring harness that's on the unit itself. So that's what I'm hoping. So there it is. Yep, we should be good to go. So let me start moving things over, and then we'll kind of see where we're at, and I'll catch right back up with you. All right, guys, we have the new unit in place. So here's the old one, as you can see with the motor. I'll flip it around so you can see. There's the motor, wiring harness. We don't need it. Here, it just kind of tucked in. It was really simple, tucked in. It'll come out pretty easy. It's much lighter. Our screw holes mount up, perfect. So we'll be able to screw here, 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 and here. And then we've got the other 2 small ones there, but everything lines up. I've got the hood latch, or the engine compartment latch on. This goes to a fan, and this one goes to the fans here. So I think we're done that part. So I'm gonna go ahead and just cinch this down. There's some other things I've got to do. I've got to figure out on some clips and stuff, and I'm gonna work on that here right now. But I think we are looking really, really good right now. I need to probably find a way of attaching that. I think I know a way to do that, so I'll work on that as well. All right, so hold tight. Let me work on a few other things here to kind of figure out what to do, and we'll go from there. All right, we are back again. So now we're gonna work on the engine cover. So first thing we're gonna do is I pulled the bolt off of here, and so the 3rd brake light will come off first, and what you're supposed to do is you just kind of, I'm gonna, watch out, Parker. Yeah. All right, here, you hold that for a second down there. So what I'm gonna do is It just pops up like that. And then we've got the third brake light out. So I'm gonna set that over here. We'll put it back on. We'll put it back on once we're done. So now I'm gonna, let me pop the latch. Okay. All right. And oh, by the way, this thing popped on, the latch being moved over to the new plate, so I know I've got everything aligned properly. So now what I've got to do is fiddle with this and get this off and set the new one on. And as you can see on this one, we'll do it like that. Then you got all these little plastic tabs here. So should be pretty easy. I'm not going to film this part. I'll let you know if I come across something that's weird, but I think that's how it works. So let me get that done and then get the other, and then we'll show it to you, then get the other one laid on there. And I'll have to, of course, pull this. Once I get everything off, I'm going to have to pull the wiring harness for the third brake light, which is here, off, because that will go on the third brake light on the spoiler itself. All right, getting close. All right, guys, we are back. It's been a little of a challenge, but not too bad. A lot of it's like Legos. So we got everything in here right. That's working. We pulled the third brake light that was here that I showed you, and we've created some new wires, and I'm going to, of course, get these wrapped and loomed up and all that. But this is a connection I bought so that when I go to the spoiler, I'll have the connector coming off the spoiler, and I'm going to wrap that as well. So that way, if there has to be maintenance on the car, you can disconnect it, and the connection is going to be sitting somewhere around in here. I'll pan out a little bit, and then that way everything will be good. I've got all this done. I'm going to clean this up real quick, and then I'm going to put the new one on here, which is sitting right there. So we'll get that one on for the trunk or for the hood lid. And then I think from there, I'm going to go ahead and bolt up, get everything bolted up, and get our lights back on and all that. And I think that we are done. So I'm probably about 3.5 hours into this. I know videos make it look quicker, of course, but we're about 3.5 hours into this. And so everything's looking good. When the spoiler slides on, it slides on to here, 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 and here. So that lines it up, and then the screws will go here and go here. And I'll show you that. And then we'll have those black plastic covers that'll go over. And I think we're good. I think my wiring's right. I'll know for sure, of course, once we get the fans back on and all that. But I feel pretty good about it. So let me get the hood cover on here, and let's start buttoning up this thing. Stay tuned. All right, guys, we've got the tail lights back on, and we've tested them. And as you can see, the long light there is working. So we're going to start the process of getting everything else on. So now this time I'm going to work on the engine cover. So we're going to go ahead and get that, and we'll get that put on. Once we get the engine cover on, then we'll start the fans and all that. Now, so when this thing slides in, you're going to have a contact point here, this one here, this one here, this one, and this one. And that keeps it in line, and that way your edges are right and they're nice and flush. So let us get the other piece on and for the engine hood, and we'll be right back. It's getting close. It's getting very close. All right, we're back. So, of course, here's the base for the new spoiler. And as you notice, here is where you put the fan in and it rests, and they rest there. And here, all the same. So what you have to remember is there's 4 grommets that were on here. So one here, here, and here. We pull those out, and then we're going to use those in these spots here. So that was kind of a little gotcha when we were putting the fans on, and as you'll see, it'll just go down here, and then there's these other ones have the rubber grommets as well. So we're going to go ahead and get these grommets in and then get the fans put in place and show you what all that looks like. All right, guys, it is the next day. We spent probably 3 to 4 hours putting the Aerokit spoiler on the Porsche. It was a lot of work, a lot of tear down. We'll go over that here just in a second to kind of recap the whole video. Golly, I'm looking right at it now. It looks absolutely great. I'll probably do a little adjustment on it just to kind of get the lines right. But I'm so glad I ended up going with the Porsche Aerokit spoiler. It was, I mean, it's a lot more expensive than one of these knockoffs that are out there, but so much better. So let me switch over the camera. I want to look at it with you, or show you what I've done, and then kind of recap all the fun stuff we took off the car and had to put back on, and the wiring and all that. And yeah, and we'll go from there and we'll wrap this thing up. All right, and here we are in all its glory. The Porsche 911 Aerokit spoiler. So I'm going to kind of come back here a little bit and let you look at it. I mean, honestly, I do believe that it just gives the car, it's really a sunny day, so I apologize, but it just gives the car a completely different look. It really, you know, this is kind of a long car, but it really makes it look a little bit longer. But man, especially like this angle here, right here, it's so sexy. This is, I'm so glad, again, I'm so glad I did it. So let's kind of go over everything we had to do. So, you know, the brake lights have to come out. The long light here, I don't even know what they call it, that has to come out. We replaced the engine cover. Now, the kit for some reason doesn't come with these little attachments here, and I'm not sure why they don't. So I've got to order those. I saw a video about it. Somebody had mentioned it. So I've got the part numbers. I just got to make just make a new order for it. So we painted the base guards red, and I'll tell you what, the sun is crazy, so I do apologize. It's really a bright day here at home, but the color is great, matches well. We did the black, gloss black top, or the wing, just because I think it flows really well with the top of the car. It kind of breaks it up. I think it's really cool here. You can see the intercoolers. That is super, super cool. It's got gloss black here. So I just need to kind of polish it down. I'm gonna do, next video, we're gonna do a ceramic coating around the whole car with Avalon King. We're gonna be partnering with those guys. That's gonna be fun. So let me show you, see if we can get here. So I think the body line's great. It's matching up. I can probably get it down just a little bit here, and I'll probably work on that. Around the edge looks really good. This side's sitting really good as well. So the body lines are looking good. The gaps are looking good. The engine cover is on with the gloss painted slats. So we got them in primered and we had them painted. When I sent the spoiler off, I've got the third brake light. I think it's measured out well. You can adjust that just a little bit. And yeah, so this is it. This is the spoiler. It's absolutely awesome, and it's so cool to be in the rear view mirror looking out and seeing that thing right there. It just, I don't know, man, it just makes the car just look so much more aggressive. We'll pan out here just a few here and show you, but yeah, I'm just super, super stoked, super excited, so glad I did it. The install wasn't that big of a deal. It just took time. You just have to kind of be, attention to detail. I did have to rewire the harness here that used to be the third brake light. I rewired that to attach to this brake light. So I've got, let me pop the engine cover here, right here. So I've got to still work on the wire, but that's coming from inside here. It comes up through here and in, and we come out on another hole, and then that goes down and mounts here. I did create, you can't see it, but I did create a little, I think it's Dorman makes some automotive all-weather or weatherproof automotive connectors. So I use that, so if I have to take the spoiler off, or Porsche does for servicing, they can just pop that out, off, and the spoiler's off the car with 2 bolts. So yeah, this is it, guys. This is it. I appreciate everything you guys watching. Please like and subscribe. And again, we're going to be doing some ceramic coating here next video coming up on it. And got another car coming to the channel Friday, so we'll debut that a little bit on Friday, hopefully, and go from there. But there's the money shot right there. So please like, subscribe, ring the bell, and until the next video, make it a great day.